Thursday night. You guys know what that means. It's party time with the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, he is the man with the angelic voice, Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Happy Thursday to you, Munson, and happy Thursday to all my wrestling people out there. Let's have a good chat tonight, baby.
Here we go, and we've already got a lively one for you. We got our good friend and fellow content creator, Josh Joseph. He is the voice. You can check him out on his podcast, A Moment with Joshua Joseph, and all the other great content that he puts out there for you guys as well, too. Hell of a guy, wonderful supporter of our show. We got Chris Best, CBRS Entertainment, the former Twitch chat champion here on Ring Respect Radio, dethroned last week, Papa Smokes, but we had a double dethroning because it's the former champ, Brian Carter, joining us up in the house here tonight. Hi, Chris, Brian, how are you guys doing? And I bet you guys are just itching for that opportunity for another shot at to regain your belts.
Well, Brian sounds very sportsmanlike about that. I was wondering what the fallout was going to be from the nuclear results of last week's trivia match. It's sounding very nice so far.
It was a close one, but a lot of congratulations went out as we crowned two new champions in the form of Dare Amazing on the Twitch side and our good friend here, OLED, Ed Fries, who managed to pick up the YouTube championship. And again, those will be back on the line coming up in September. We will get that announcement out to you guys very, very shortly. The soon-to-be two-time Twitch champion, Chris Best. But yeah, we did promise, Papa Smokes, that we were going to do a bit of an MLW Fury Road go-home show for you here tonight, guys. So again, whatever content you want us to talk about, we're here to talk about it, but we are going to touch on some MLW, talk about the card that is coming up Sunday, because we have got for you in a live capacity this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It is our MLW Fury Road tailgate party, watch-along party. Oh, Papa Smokes, how much fun are we going to have this coming Sunday?
A whole bunch, Munson. We're doing the same things that we always like to do, including watching wrestling, drinking beer, and we'll see if we have some kind of bizarre snacks get involved like they did last time. We'll see. I still don't have my plan worked out, but don't worry about it. I got the hookup.
Yeah, well, I've been promising the old Chip Buddy coming in a new form. I'm bringing a new version of the Chip Buddy to screen, as we've been having a bit of a back and forth between myself and Parrish ever since Christmas Day when I first mentioned what a Chip Buddy was. And it's been an ongoing argument across multiple streams here about the Chip Buddy. But you're going to be able to see me try to engulf one of those things this Sunday on stream. All
right, I can't wait.
So a lot of fun we're going to be having. Of course, there will be beers, there will be fun, and there will be matchups. We got a lot of those. And man, this is I wouldn't mind seeing the matchup with Brian Carter and El Asesino here. It looks like he was so mad in his defeat that he decided to pick a fight, or wanted to pick a fight with El Asesino. Maybe not the best of plans.
Terrible idea.
Especially right now. I mean, man, we just got done with calling more matchups recently, Pop Smokes, and it has been time and time again. El Asesino absolutely destroying his opponents. And in a live capacity just a short little bit ago, we saw him send his opponent to the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, this rampage of destruction that he's on doesn't look like it's losing any momentum anytime soon. Just only begs the question, where is it all leading? He's made a whole bunch of enemies. He's got to be watching his back as well with all the people that he's jumped in the last months, even the last year. So what's going to happen with Asesino? It's question is nagging at me. I don't think he cares, but he's going to have to reckon for some of his actions at some point.
Oh, certainly. And you know that we've got the big show coming up here in Saskatoon on October the 21st. It's Ring of Horrors the 2nd. So looking forward to seeing what comes of that. It's going to be a great night of entertainment here in Saskatoon. And we got Brian saying, I'm actually meeting Mance Warner and One Called Manders tomorrow night. Fantastic, Brian. That's
decent.
Awesome. That's really cool. You ask Manser if he's all ready, or I wonder if he's been shower dodging before you get to meet him.
Yeah, he's got a big match coming up here on Fury Road as well with Matt Cardona and the Kiss My Foot match.
He does, yes, indeed.
I'm jumping ahead, but yes.
Yeah, and we will talk about that right away here, Papa Smokes. Before we even talk about the main card, and this is the stuff we won't get to see personally. So, well, until the Fusion episodes come out, because there will be the Fusion tapings taking place this Sunday as well, too. And I just want to mention a couple of the matches, just in brief. Get your thoughts on it. We have got the Beaumaye Fight Club consisting of your good friend, Mr. Thomas, and my good friend, Jay Bougie, versus the main event, Jay Lion and Midas Black. I think we saw them a little while ago, some sort of comedy act. I hope Beaumaye just make short work of these guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's a job match, and let's get this tag team rolling. We don't put them in big matches and title matches right off the bat. Let's see how they gel. Let's give them some opponents they can handle for this time and show everybody what they can do.
Yeah, you bet. We are going to get to some newer names as well too on this event for these tapings. But we got good old Snisky's going to be in a match against. Right now, I don't know if it's been announced or if it was announced earlier on Fusion. If anybody in the chat knows, looking your way, Brian Carter. Let us know if it's been announced who Snisky is going to be fighting at the tapings. All it says right now is Snisky with MSL in his corner will be taking on somebody. Good to be seeing Snisky. We got the second gear crew. That is Matthew Justice and One Call Manders, who Brian's going to be meeting. They are going to be taking on the calling of Cannonball and Talon, which I can only presume has got to be a couple of the masked individuals from the calling group, because that's definitely not the names of the main crew anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little behind when it comes to the calling, and to be honest, they've never really grabbed my attention or my imagination yet. But I'm willing to give anything a chance, and I'll watch this, see what it's like, and yeah, it could be the latest version of the what were they called, the flag bearers for Contra. What were they again? The Sentai Death Squad.
Yeah. So, and again, these are all part of the taping, so they'll be in future episodes of MLW Fusion coming up. We also got a featherweight division matchup. We got Tiara James taking on Zeta Steel. Sounds like a couple of debuts in that division. Kevin Blackwood, who was the first announced name in the MLW Open Draft this year, is going to be in a triple threat against Alec Price and TJ Crawford. We got Lil Guido is going to be taking on Love Doug, who is... He's an interesting character, that Love Doug. He's been making his rounds in MLW already. I'm kind of curious to see how it pans out, how they handle Love Doug and his run in MLW. And then, of course, get Kira taking on Jimmy Lloyd in a street fight. That all on the MLW Fusion tapings. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the weeks to come. But this Sunday, Papa Smokes, here is some matchups to talk about. First and foremost, we have got Ichiban, who was actually a name in the MLW Open Draft there. And he is going to be coming to MLW to take on Tracy Williams in a singles matchup. Your thoughts on this one?
Could be okay. I haven't seen a ton of Tracy Williams, although I know who he is, and I know that he's got kind of a hard-nosed style to him. But Ichiban, here's another guy that I'm not familiar with his work. Let's check it out. And against a game opponent, too. So this could be a good match. I'm looking forward to it.
It really could be. It could be really, really good. So we'll have to look out for that. We have also got Kushida coming over from New Japan Pro Wrestling to take on Tony Deppen. And I know this is being billed as MLW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know that we've seen a lot of Tony Deppen, and maybe the chat can let me know on that one. I'm not very familiar with him. So when I think MLW and somebody on their side versus a New Japan, I don't really immediately go to Tony Deppen personally, but curious to see how he waves the flag for MLW this Sunday.
And that might be the new reality of it, 2 months. And like I was going to get into this later in the discussion, but talent is thin out there with two major companies with money taking a lot of the best prospects and stuff. And we've seen since the time of the end of COVID up until now, so maybe a 2-year period, we've seen the drain of some of the talent from MLW, including the whole Contra unit, including Filthy Tom Lawler, including the Von Erichs, and could go on and on. And it's tough to replace that talent, right? So Court Bauer has to go to the well, bring up some new guys, bring up some dudes that are dudes and ladies that are ripping it up on the indies, and give them a chance in the spotlight of MLW, see how it goes. You mentioned that ladies featherweights match too. Two people I've heard both of their names before, but hell, if nobody's seen their matches yet, let's get them on this stage and see what they can do. That's one of the things I like about MLW. It can make it challenging when the talent is a little thinner and they're forced to work with what they got. But hey, that's the chance for young stars to come up and prove their worth. And sometimes when you have a roster with a bunch of young, hungry wrestlers on there, that's where the magic can happen.
It sure can. And I know a lot of people are going to be looking to some of the other matchups on the card to be where the magic happens. And we're going to talk about those here shortly. We got Brian coming in. There is definitely a collapse in MLW. The talent is out there. They just aren't getting them. Vikingo is fighting in GCW, so he would be available, Bob Smokes. Yeah, I mean, there is talent out there, of course, but again, not everybody wants to go and commit the time necessarily. They, especially when they've got a busy schedule as it is. So it makes it tough for MLW, but the one nice thing is we do get a plethora of different talent that we get to see. So, a lot of faces that normally you and I probably wouldn't take in and get to see their work, Papa Smokes, but we get the opportunity when they're fighting for MLW.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like I say, that's part of the joy of it. I mean, all of us have to not think of MLW like we do think of the big companies. There's very little contracted talent in MLW. What would there be, do you think, Munson? Maybe 4 people at the most? The kind of Hammerstone, Fatu, maybe a couple of other people, and that's about it that are actually contracted there. So in a way, MLW is like one of the old territories. There's lots of independent wrestlers on the tour, going around getting booked, trying to do shows in that area on that weekend. The same thing that all the wrestlers do up here in Canada and everywhere. MLW is one of your stops. And if you can get the chance to do a whole segment of TV tapings, all the better. But sometimes you might just be doing a one shot as well. And that's the way the business goes.
It sure does. And you know what, Pop Smokes, we're going to take a quick pause to say hello to some more friends joining us up in the chat here today. As always, coming in here like the star that he is, it's Bobby Petito. How are you doing, my friend? Are you excited for this Sunday? And I know, yes, Jay Bougie wrestling on September 3rd, teaming up with Mr. Thomas. We were just talking about that at the top of the hour. Those tapings are looking really good. Curious to see some of the new names heading over to MLW. And there we go. There's a good friend of ours, a former guest here on Ring Respect Radio. It's Astrid. How are you doing, Astrid? Thanks for joining us on this Thursday night. Anybody who is in the chat right now who hasn't done so already, follow everybody in the chat. Go to their YouTubes, their Twitches, everything like that. Follow along, network, and be good to one another. We've got some great matchups, though, to talk about here, and we're talking a little bit more star-studded as we go up the list here, Papa Smokes. And I did want to mention before we talk about this next match, that Mr. St. Laurent is going to be very, very busy this Sunday. As not only does he have a match on the MLW, like in the corner man in an MLW match for the Fusion tapings, but he's also going to be a corner man in a matchup on the regular show, and he is also at Fury Road going to have the very first edition of his new talk show. So we're going to get to see this new talk show featuring St. Laurent, and he promises a very, very special guest on his first edition of this show. So I'm curious to know, any thoughts in the world of professional wrestling right now, who Mr. St. Laurent might have his hands on to bring in this time, remembering the last time he gave us Matt Cardona.
Yeah, that's right, Munson. And so can you help me catch up with Mr. St. Laurent just a little bit from the last couple months? He has been the man promoting Microman all the way to the stars. And since then, he announced and brought in Matt Cardona. Is that all we need to know? Is there any more to the story that's going on here, or any other hints or clues?
No, he dumped Microman like yesterday's trash, and really haven't seen anything of Microman since in MLW. So maybe I don't know what the deal is. Maybe Microman's gone on to bigger and better things at this point, but that needs to be seen. But yes, that's really all there is to know, Pop Smokes. Mr. St. Laurent has kind of turned over to the side of heel after promoting Microman for so long, and he has now taken that with bringing in Matt Cardona. He's going to be in Snitsky's corner this coming Sunday for the MLW Fusion tapings, and he's also got a very special guest, and I think I'm on board with what Bobby's saying here for the special guest, and this is what my guess would have been, considering the link up with Matt Cardona. Steph DeLander is a very, very strong prediction for this spot this Sunday at MLW Fury Road.
Geez, I like that a lot. You know, we've speculated on this show in the past couple weeks with Cardona's presence at some of these tapings and having some matches in MLW. Maybe his current side piece, can we call her, or his valet of sorts that he's got going on right now, Steph
his
DeLander.
Muscle, if you ask me.
Yeah, maybe that's the better way to put it. And could she show up in MLW? Man, we've been hoping for that for a long time. Great talent out of Australia. Great looking lady with some big muscles. She could really be part of the power structure, not only in the featherweights division, but maybe on the actual the main roster as well.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I'm pretty sure that she can mop the floor with a lot of the guys in MLW as well, too. Steph DeLander is an absolute ass kicker. And I'll tell you two people who might not be too fond of her joining the featherweights division. And we are going to talk about them shortly, but I did want to give Bobby the time to get that on screen. We are going to get to this, Bobby, because I saw this. It is hilarious. And we got to talk all about it here very, very shortly. But because we're on the topic already of Matt Cardona and his debut with MLW this Sunday, Pop Smokes, we have got it in place. It is the no-holds-barred Kiss My Foot match. Matt Cardona with Mr. St. Laurent in his corner against the shower dodger, Mance Warner.
Yeah, this is a classic Mance Warner match. No disqualification, be all kinds of weapons. It'll be a brawl of epic proportions, I'm sure. Cardona, no stranger to brawling since he's been tearing up the indie scene over the last year or two. This should be interesting, and wouldn't it be humiliating for Cardona to have to get on his knees and kiss the dirty, stinking toe jam covered foot of the old Manser?
You know what? I'm honestly, as I'm thinking more about it, I'm like, I wouldn't put it outside the realm of possibility for Matt Cardona to want to put somebody over in MLW. Like, I don't think he's the type that seems like a loss really bothers his current run or anything like that. The fans have clung to him, and you either love the guy or you don't. But he has got a massive following out there in professional wrestling, and I'm sure a loss to Mance Warner having to kiss his feet is probably only just going to help the audience that are watching in the first place, because a lot of people would love to see, you know, the former Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, kissing the foot of his opponent in a match like this, because you know he's going to go over the top with the selling of just how dirty that foot is.
Yeah, and I'm no huge fan of Matt Cardona, but I admire the guy because he's learned his lessons in the wrestling business. He understands how to work. He understands that there's no bad heat. He's just going to take it wherever he can get it and just fan the flames until it's blazing all around him. God, he was going around to all those promotions in California and stuff. He had all the belts. He was being the most disrespectful jerk you could possibly imagine. And it was just, they were getting great houses for all those shows. It makes me feel good. It reminds me of the old territory days when a guy will do that, just have a triumphant round amongst all the major kind of independent companies. That's what Cardona's done. And I'm glad he's getting to do MLW as well, because that's one of the bigger ones with some limited TV, and it'll work both ways. It'll help to put MLW on the map for some fans that don't know it yet, but it'll help Matt Cardona too, because he gets more exposure. He'll get seen by a bunch of fans that don't normally watch him, and good God, what a match to have to do as one of his first ones against Mance Warner.
Yeah, I mean, arguably Matt Cardona could have come in and used his status to come into MLW and saying, like, I want the top guy. Like, he easily could have said that. Nobody's going to deny a Matt Cardona coming in and having a top spot in your company, especially when you're MLW. You can use that status to your benefit. So you would not say no, but it seems like unselfishly, Matt Cardona wants to prove himself in MLW, and that's going to be great. As Astrid saying, she respects how hard he has worked to get his name out there and outside of the WWE. And I think that's the best thing for him is he can, like you said, Pop Smokes, makes the run with all these independents, helps MLW, helps GCW, helps all these smaller companies out along his path. And then he could damn well call his shot, whether it be AEW, WWE, whatever he chooses to do. At this point, he has now got the name backing and the fan status behind him that those companies are going to want to shell out a little bit of coin for Matt Cardona.
For sure. And just like what Astrid just said too, coming from a successful or semi-successful run in one of the big companies such as WWE can of course be a huge positive for a wrestler because your name has been out there on a national level. Well, probably you're not able to use that name anymore, but some version of it. They know your face. You're probably using the same gimmick as you had in WWE, but there could be a downside to that. That could be a curse too. Sometimes there's a stink on you when you get fired from one of those major companies and now start making the rounds on the independents. Some fans don't like that. If you don't do a good job of it, it can really turn against you, and you get that shame of being an ex-big guy on you. But Cardona obviously staying relevant all over social media, playing an awesome heel for most of the stuff I saw, and keeping himself in the minds and hearts of the wrestling fans as a guy that can just hop down there and still be successful in a whole bunch of different towns across the country.
He certainly can. And here we go. We got another friend hopping up in the house here tonight, Papa Spokes. It's Mel. How are you doing? How are you doing tonight? Is what I was going to say. And also, happy Thursday to you. Thanks for joining us here on Ring Respect Radio. Brian saying, I am blown away at how much more I have been enjoying the indies than the big promotions. Brian, you and us as well, my friend, because that's, we will watch stuff from the big companies. Don't get us wrong, but the independent scene is something that both Pop Smokes and I have a very big fondness for. A little bit more forgiving of things on the independent scene versus the big companies, because let's face it, the independent scene has to do what they can with what they have, and that's pretty much how it works. So you can be a little bit more forgiving than you can when there's companies throwing millions of dollars at their production.
Yeah, and independent wrestling is what it is. There are good companies that are trying hard, that have integrity towards the business and all that. Then there is the flip side. We all know about this. We like to joke around and call them outlaw mud shows, but there are some promoters that have no integrity, that just want to put shows on to try and make money, to make an easy pop, to overbook some show because they don't know if they're ever going to put another one on again. Yeah, it doesn't do the overall business any good, but for the most part, I'm supportive of grassroots wrestling and independent wrestling, because we got to keep it going at that level where new people will still watch live shows and want to go into training and become the next batch of wrestlers.
You bet. And yes, Matt Cardona was the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion there. He did help them out quite a lot by putting his name and stamp on the 16 pounds of gold, or Sweet Charlotte as it is.
10 pounds.
10 pounds. Oh, Jesus. That's one. I have 6 too many joints there tonight, Pop Smokes. That's what the brain does to you.
16, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 16. I lost count after 2. But we got our good friend, my Brunch Buster brother, and good old former PWI top 500 professional wrestler. It is Chris Parrish up in the house saying Cardona went from being a comedy character in WWE to a guy who, if he returned to the WWE, could now be a main eventer. But, is it too mean of me to say that really being a main eventer in WWE? No, they're doing good right now. They're doing a lot better. They've got some names. I'm not going to bust their balls and say that it's a little easier than it once was to be a main eventer in WWE. But
scandalous.
That's I know. I'm tipping the scales there, Papa Smokes. But here we go with our third video, bro. Our brother Basser up in the house. Hey guys, Basser, how you doing, brother? You're gonna have to let me know when are you coming back to Ring Respect Radio, my man. Would love to have you on here again. We could do another show, talk some PPW stuff like that. Maybe we got to have you on before the big October show coming up on the 21st at Ring of Horrors Part 2. Yeah, the indie scene is all fantastic, Bobby. We'll absolutely love it. And oh, hold on. There's never enough joints to smoke, by the way. That is the truest statement ever said on Ring Respect Radio in the history of the show. I could return in November. Return to the PWI 500 or return to the ring. What are you hinting at here, my man?
Come on. To Saskatoon.
Don't do me like I do to Barry Monkey and leave him on a cliffhanger all the time. That's not cool. That's not cool. It's only cool when I do it to the listeners. And speaking of listeners, Papa Smokes, Ring Respect Radio, as well as some of the other shows here on our local establishment, now part of the new feature of YouTube podcasts. So you can actually listen to Ring Respect Radio's many episodes are on the channel here in podcast format. That along with Taking Over and Busting Out, and of course all your other favorites will be up there very, very soon as well too. Very happy to be out in podcast form as well as on-screen form.
Man, all right, Munson, we're doing good. We got to get on as many platforms as we can, get the word out there about PPW, MLW, and all the wrestling that we like to talk.
You bet. All the independent wrestling, and we are going to get back to that MLW talk. We just talked about Cardona going up against Mance Warner. Now, here's the one, and I know I'm going to go back to a comment Bobby made a little bit ago here, and that is that Becca cut a promo today on Maki Ito on Twitter. I don't know. Did you get an opportunity to watch this today, Papa Smokes?
Well, yeah, she had a little video, like she had another song. Yeah, that's what I watched. Yeah.
Yeah, the new official hit from Becca called You Ain't Cute, as she was slamming her opponent, Maki Ito, for this Sunday very, very hard in this. Once again, I'm digging the stuff that Becca's putting out there. It is different. It is interesting. It's got my attention, Papa Smokes. I like this. I'm invested in this matchup, when normally this isn't the type of matchup between two character types that I would normally be invested in. Somehow they've changed my mind with these two.
Yeah, I must confess, I know it doesn't sound much like me, but this is one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most. Probably not for the technical skill of the combatants involved, but Becca has been working hard to get herself over in MLW with limited screen time and all that stuff, and I think she's been successful. We loved Hot Summer Fun. What a video, what a statement, what a generational statement that she made in that song. Now we've got you. What is it? You're not cute.
You ain't cute.
You ain't cute.
That's just a capital U, not Y-O-U. Capital U ain't cute.
No, of course. And absolutely, we know who that's sent out to, that sentiment and that song and that sentence. The wrestler that fancies herself as the cutest girl wrestler in Japan, Maki Ito. We've seen her before. She's got a sense of humor to her too. We've seen some of her tweets trying to learn English, saying the wrong thing. Yeah, and some of her attempted pop performances before. It's not generally what I like out of my wrestling, but I don't know. The girls are working on it. This is like a matchup that's actually probably going to work in some sense of entertainment. I don't think Lou Thez and Harley Race will be applauding this match necessarily, and I won't be applauding it as a match, I bet. But I love the whole setup around it, and I want to see the sing-off. This is begging for a sing-off. Oh, yeah. They're going to give us the sing-off, aren't they, Munson?
They've got to. I mean, Becca in this song said that she's got hundreds and hundreds of hits that we haven't even heard. So again, we don't know what she's going to bring to the hundreds of hits. Yeah, she is a pop legend. And again, a very good basketball skills from what I saw in the new music video as well, too. She was rocking the basketball. Going to be great. I know Bobby's saying he's rooting for Becca. We say maybe not so much on the technical skill, and I understand that. we might get surprised by what these two put down in the ring, because remember that on the line is the opportunity to go up against the champion, the featherweight champion, Delmi Exo. So again, big stakes in this matchup for both Becca and Maki Ito.
Yeah, and Maki Ito coming in from Japan for this match, but we've also heard words from Becca. She has called out Delmi Exo or mentioned Delmi Exo in a couple of her promos. She's got her sights set on that featherweights championship. I'm not sure what Ito's status is, if she's going to hang around and make a little run in MLW. I suspect not. I would think this might just be a one-shot thing, but at any rate, Becca, the one with the motivation, she wants Exo in a championship match, and she's going to stop at nothing to get her. Pop songs or not, I think we'll see Becca really push for that pinfall, and I'm going with Becca. I want her to win. I'm predicting that she'll win.
I think a lot of people are going to be on the same page there, Pop Smokes, and expect that we'll see Becca versus Delmi Exo. The only thing I kind of scratch my head over is if they wanted to pull a fast one, Delmi Exo, who is not currently on the card in any capacity, could very well become an X factor and come down to ringside, and a distraction to Becca could cost Becca the matchup and give Maki Ito the opportunity. It could set things all differently if that were to happen. But again, it very much looking with the way things are being pushed that Becca will be victorious in this matchup.
Yeah, it's looking like that's the way the push is going. But hey, I don't like predictions so much in professional wrestling. I'm not going to second guess whoever's booking this match or try and think what's going to happen. I'm just going to try and enjoy it when we watch this card. And yeah, one of the ones I'm really anticipating.
And yeah, I was going to mention this as well too. Love Doug could actually figure into this matchup, as Brian Carter is brought up, because again, Love Doug obviously has eyes for Becca. He wants to be at the side of the pop star herself, and it could be a night where Love Doug causes a distraction and Maki Ito ends up not getting the victory. It's curious to see how it's all going to pan out this Sunday at Fury Road. Bobby saying, who knows if Delmi Exo could be booked for the MLW Fusion tapings. It could end up being a last moment thing. I would imagine, if nothing else, there's going to be promos that are going to have to be cut, especially to build up to something between her and whoever wins this particular matchup. So I'm sure in some capacity, we should expect that, you know, the champion is going to be involved in the upcoming MLW Fusion episodes, definitely. So let's see what we've talked about Matt Cardona. We've talked about the women's matchup. We've talked about Tony Deppen and Kushida, and we've talked about Ishiban and Tracy Williams. I believe that we've only got the co-main event, and that's how they're calling it, Pop Smokes, a co-main event, 2 different titles on the line. First and foremost, one half of that main event is for the MLW National Openweight Championship. It is a weapons of mass destruction matchup. We've seen these before. The champion, Jacob Fatu, going up against the calling member and one half of the tag team champions, Ricky Shane Page. Interested to see how this pans out. These matchups, again, and like any hardcore matchups, they can work sometimes if they don't get too ridiculous. But it is, you know, Jacob Fatu, so I'd imagine this is going to be a hard-hitting affair. Ricky Shane Page is a big boy, and, you know, he likes to get in there and tear it up. I think we're going to get a big man fight on our hands. Not a lot of wrestling, a big man destruction fight.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly there, is that this ain't going to be so much of a match, but 2 big guys clashing. They've done the build for it. The calling are the major heel faction. Fatu, one of the major baby faces in the company. He's going to have to, or they've jumped him a few times. Mm-hmm. So he's going to want revenge. He's going to come out hard for this. He's demanded the weapons of mass destruction match. Last time we saw that, Fatu had it was a really good match, but a really destructive match against Mads Kruger. That's when he shoved Mads Kruger's head into that radioactive box and burned up his face or whatever the heck happened there. But that was quite entertaining.
It was very cruel. It was a very cruel moment in MLW history.
Yeah. And but Fatu is good at that hardcore stuff. He's good at those hard-hitting matches. Page, I'm not so sure about, but I think with Fatu leading him, they could get through this just fine. And there will be all kinds of violent spots in this. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. I don't mind a match like this, a gimmick stipulation hardcore match once in a while. Not on every show, not on every card. I don't need it every week. But if there's a feud that actually calls for a gimmick match like this, where the hatred has grown so much, boiled up so much that it needs a match like that, then good. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Go Fatu. Love my man Fatu.
You bet. And Brian caught my cruel reference there. Glad you were listening, Brian, and caught on to that one. And Bobby's looking forward to this matchup. Again, Jacob Fatu is on a whole other level. But the one thing I do fear in cheering for him, we don't see either other member of the Samoan SWAT team anywhere on this card, whether it be the MLW Fusion tapings or on the main card here. They didn't ask for a rematch against the tag champions. It almost seems like we might be seeing an end to, or the sending off of the Samoan SWAT team to make room for the new faces of MLW. Again, if that's the case, then thank you, Jacob Fatu, for all you've left behind in MLW. But that, begs to be seen. We don't know just yet. It could be that Jacob Fatu is making us all think that, making it think he's going to go to somewhere else very, very soon. And maybe we'll see him tearing it up in MLW for quite some time yet.
Well, and I'm sure lately that you've noticed on Twitter following Lance Anawahi, he's been over doing the Noah tournament over in Japan.
Yeah.
With some success too. He got to the semifinals or almost to the finals with, I don't completely understand the whole point system, but it looked like he was pretty successful at that. That's the kind of thing that a young prospective star like that guy needs. Some eyes on him in some matches that are going to be watched by serious wrestling fans, be it in Japan or be it in the US or anywhere for that matter. But people are watching those streams on the internet. We know that we have compatriots at Ole Podcasts here who cover all that Japanese stuff, including Melball. And that's the true fans get right into that stuff. And Lance Anawahi, I was watching his progression through the Noah tournament and just thinking, good for you, man. That's absolutely great. And I hope that he can build on that, whether it's in MLW after this or other indie companies or other major companies.
Yeah, you bet. Very glad. Former guest here on Ring Respect Radio, Lance Anawahi, tearing it up over there. And as you were saying, yes, Melball Collins and her partner in crime, that Canada guy, Andre C. They're always tearing it up, talking about all things Japanese wrestling. So if you want to know all about it and find out all those rules and how it pans out, you're going to want to check out their YouTube channel and get yourself subscribed over there for all the updates when it comes to Japanese wrestling. And you know what? Japanese wrestling can be fantastic. Pop Smokes, I don't get to watch a lot of it, but when we do, I like, especially when we get this international flavor coming over to MLW with a New Japan now invading. We've had a lot of that coming over from all parts of the world, and it's great because we get the opportunity to see a lot of these wrestlers that we don't see on a regular basis.
For sure. And we noticed that at least one of the main companies loves to have that doorway between the two companies where they can trade talent back and forth. That again reminds me of the territory days. We talked about Antonio Inoki's company and Giant Baba's company. They were competing for the top North American stars back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And just a little kind of breath of that again, including Court Bauer and MLW making deals with, not necessarily the biggest companies, but sometimes that Dragon Gate and some of those other ones, getting some of the young talent, some of the unsigned guys to come over and do a tour here, make some shots for our fans. You're somebody new for our MLW fans to watch and get a little thrill from, and then they also get experience working for a different company, wrestling a different roster of opponents, just taking in the culture of a different wrestling country and everything. That's all adding up and adding up to a wrestler's IQ, so to speak. the way they learn about all aspects of the business.
Yeah, you bet. And Brian mentioned that he was glad to see the Lance could do so well after the injuries that the Culling gave him at that last show. Bobby saying he'd like to see Alex Kane wrestle against someone in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Bobby, let us know who you'd like to see from New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Alex Kane. If you had a one-shot opportunity to book that match, Bobby, who are you booking against the champion, Alex Kane? And will he be the champion after this Sunday? It begs to be seen, because he has got a very experienced opponent that he is going up against. The champ is confident, but it's going to be Alex Kane of the Bomaye Fight Club with his corner man, Papa Smoke's his good friend, Mr. Thomas, defending for the very first time his MLW championship against Willie Mack. And there was a cool video MLW put out, Papa Smokes, with the build-up to this one. It's approximately 10 minutes long, and it's got Alex Kane and Willie Mack going back and forth in some of those, almost those sit-down promos that we've seen, those kind of real promos that MLW put out. But this one's built to feel like it's a top fight. So it's kind of like one of those boxing ones where it shows the champion talking about his training and talking about how he's eaten well and he's prepared for this. You know, he's big time now. He's got Don King sending him champion gifts because he rolls like a champion. And they show 3 weeks to Fury Road, 2 weeks to Fury Road, 3 days, meaning tonight, and leading into Fury Road here with the champion, Alex Kane. And then on the other side of the fence, we got Willie Mack pouring his heart out, talking about, his life and his growing up and the kind of things and, what it means to him. That this is 17 years in the making that for him to try to finally become world heavyweight champion. And he wants to do it at the expense of Alex Kane. It's going to be hard to see what the fans choose in this one, Papa Smokes, because again, Willie Mack very much loved by the MLW crowd, but you can't underestimate the power of Bomaye right now. It is infectious and it is ever growing.
Well put, Munson. And that's the thing about Alex Kane is he's presents as a heel, but the fans think he's badass and think he's cool. He cuts such a good promo. He mocks his opponents so effectively, and he talks so good, as does my close personal friend, Mr. Thomas. And they provide such a good verbal accompaniment to their matches and stuff. I like this matchup a whole bunch because it's not got the huge star quality of some of the main event title matches in the past for MLW, but I like where this is going. Alex Kane kind of represents the young upstart. He's got all kinds of talent and everything, but his attitude's wrong. He's arrogant. He thinks that he's better than everybody else. And then you got Willie Mack, the veteran, a little bit older, has been around the scene, around the indies a million times, around all over through the United States, doing matches and matches and matches. He thinks he's going to beat Alex Kane because he knows how to beat Alex Kane. It's a classic matchup of a young upstart versus a veteran, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it all unfold. As Brian saying, if Willie Mack wins, he quits. He gives up. He's done completely. And Bobby had the opportunity to book that match, and he's going Alex Kane versus Will Ospreay.
Oh, my.
Very interesting call there, Bobby,
Wow.
Especially after this last Sunday. Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho was kind of a surprise matchup from AEW All In. I didn't think I'd ever say it in 2023, Papa Smokes. I watched the best Jericho match I have seen in a long ass time on Sunday at AEW All In.
Okay, so what do you think made that match so good? Was it Jericho or was it his interplay with Ospreay? Because Ospreay's got a lot of skill too.
I think that a lot of it just had to do that he wanted to keep up with Ospreay, and he did keep up with Ospreay. If he was put every last effort he had into professional wrestling, he put it on the line. I know this wasn't his last ever match or anything, but if he would have said that night that was going to be his last match and he went out like that, it would be remembered in a very memorable way. Because again, the match isn't, a Dave Meltzer 7-star classic or anything like that. It's not even like on my radar as the best match of the year by any means. But when I say it was a big surprise because I find Jericho in his later years definitely has gotten a little bit more slower and stuff like that. He's not quite up to the par of what he was 10, 15, 20 years ago and everything. So I wasn't sure what to expect. Ospreay, again, be hit or miss for me. Sometimes he's fantastic, depends on who he's working with. On this night, these two clicked. Ospreay and Jericho clicked. It was a good match. It wasn't too overbooked. I would have held back on doing two finishers to beat Jericho. Personally, I thought one finisher should have been enough and would have made Ospreay look like $1 million. But lo and behold, they did have a double finisher in order to beat Jericho. But the match otherwise, it wasn't silly. It wasn't insulted to my intelligence. Both competitors put on a great fight. I liked it.
Well, very good, Munson. I bet that part of the laying out of that match was Ospreay saying, I want to do this, and Jericho saying, slow down, bro. We're going to work for a while. That could be the magic. That could be the perfect stuff for having a great match right there. One guy that wants to go fast and another guy that's able to slow him down a little bit.
And you know what? And they did do some fast, and they did do the spots that, Ospreay would want to get in. You'd expect him to get in, but it kind of, it did feel like it was a little bit more reserved in a good way. Like it was brought back to a point where those moves made sense and they were effective. And you didn't see them so often throughout the entire match to the point where you're like, well, I've seen him do this 100 times. Now I don't care, kind of thing. This was one of the matches on the card that definitely kind of reserved itself a little bit. And in the end, a very big surprise and one of the better matches on the card that night.
Not bad. Perhaps I'll check that one out. Any other matches off of the big show in England?
Yeah, MJF and Adam Cole. But did anyone not expect that one to be good? I mean, and of course, Joe and Punk. I mean, whatever people want to think of Punk these days, anyway, I don't care. That it was good. Other than the fact that I was critical of the fact that, of course, Punk had to bleed opening match of the night, and he had to bleed. And I'm like, why? Like, I know what he's doing. He's trying to take it away from the rest of the card and take it away from the Moxleys and everybody like that and doing it. But you had another one of these silly Stadium Stampede matchups on the card with Moxley in it. You knew there was going to be blood. Just don't bother. It didn't need it. Joe and Punk didn't need the blood at all. It was so unnecessary. Top of the night. I don't know why. But other than that, the matchup itself was good. But again, because does Joe have a bad matchup in him?
And those two have so much history too. I'm sure they went over it in the pre-match videos and such, but those guys had tremendous brawls in ROH. Now that's going back almost 15 years, I suppose, right? But they know each other like the back of their hand, and they those two could put on a good match. First match, main event, doesn't matter to those two. It'll still be a good one.
Yeah, overall, I mean, it wasn't too bad of a card. Like, I mean, I've definitely seen worse from companies. I had some. Those were the three. If I'm gonna make Pop Smoke sit through ones, I wouldn't feel as bad making you sit through those three Pop Smokes.
Yeah, no, you don't got to make me. But I take your recommendation seriously, Munson. If you tell me it's a good match, I will check it out for sure.
Yeah, and then, of course, you had Bucks and FTR, which was about as good as you're ever getting from the Bucks and about as low as you're ever getting from FTR because they pretty much cancel each other out because one I can't stand, that's the Young Bucks, and the other I think deserves better, that's FTR. Hate me for saying it because I know a lot of people love the Bucks and hate FTR, but I hate bad tag team wrestling, and that's what the Young Bucks are, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not an opinion thing for me. It's just like I like the more serious wrestlers, and that's the end of it. The Bucks, their gimmick is that they're mocking wrestling kind of, and I'm sure some fans like that, but to me it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I don't care to watch their stuff.
Yeah, me either. And again, like at this point, it kind of had flattened the moment too, because they should have done the match while things were red hot and FTR was on top of the world. They should have had the rubber match then instead of on this night. But it is what it is. I mean, it wasn't. Again, I say it wasn't the worst Bucks match, but it was definitely one of my least favorite of FTR's matchups. So again, that's kind of where everything gets canceled out in that one. Papa Smokes must love the main event, and that's who we're talking about is on the Fusion tapings there against the Bullway Fight Club. The Papa Smokes is hoping it's just going to be a squash match of sorts. Yes, the main event are very, very, very non-likable, in my opinion. It's not that they're not capable, but man, that gimmick is so goofy, I cannot get into it.
Yeah, it's not for me. Also, yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, that's all but anybody can say about it. But we do have, of course, MLW Fury Road coming up this Sunday. It is going to be fantastic. We're looking forward to it. And we hope that you're all going to be joining us right here on our local establishment. It is going to be the MLW Fury Road 2023 Watch Along Tailgate Party. Myself, Papa Smokes, Chris Parrish, maybe some other friends are going to be joining you live on screen to let you know what's going on inside that ring. But we want to encourage you all to also head on over to Fight TV, sign up for Fight TV Plus so that you also can check out MLW Fury Road. And if you sign up now, I believe they have a 7-day trial, so you can sign up and get your opportunity to watch MLW Fury Road 2023 this coming Sunday. And a lot of great stuff on there as well, too. I personally am a fan of Fight TV, and we don't get paid promotion. I know the show says paid promotion. We don't get that paid promotion from Fight. That is just me talking about a company I enjoy.
Yeah, I like their company also, and the fact that MLW swung a deal with them makes a lot of sense, and for both companies. And yeah, I'll gladly check out some Fight TV to watch some top professional wrestling action. They got some other good fights on there too.
They really do. A lot of great stuff that you can find on Fight TV. And as I was talking about paid promotion, the reason our show says there's paid promotion, because we got our good friends, our sponsors over at Rogue Energy. You want to go on over to rogueenergy.com where you can smash that promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off of your order. Rogue Energy is an alternative to the energy drinks you're going to find in the store. This is a zero sugar, vegan friendly alternative. It's going to re-energize and refresh your brain and make you be able to stay up and watch all this fucking wrestling that's on this weekend. Because again, if you are the diehards out there, and I applaud you, you've got WWE's Payback on Saturday. You got MLW Fury Road starting at an early time on Sunday so that they don't compete with the full card of AEW's All Out event that takes place on the exact same day. But we hope no matter what you're watching, you're going to be right here with myself, Pop Smokes, Chris Parrish, and all of our friends at our local establishment for the Fury Road tailgate party, because that's where the true party is, Pop Smokes.
That's right. We're going to party down, watch wrestling. All you guys come into the chat and joke around with us a bit, watch the show at the same time. We'll all put our feelings out there and our opinions out there. We'll rate some of these matches and see what MLW's got to offer this time around.
It's going to be a fantastic show. Looking forward to it. And we're glad that everybody was checking that out. As you'll see down below, that ticker at the bottom of your screen is all of us here at our local establishment. Yeah, Papa Smokes is checking it out right now, making sure that he can see it there. It has got everywhere where you can find OLE. That's across all social platforms, as well as YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch, where we want you to like, follow, subscribe, give us a big old thumbs up. Let the world know about OLE Podcast and the great content that we got coming up here for you guys every single day at our local establishment. Papa Smokes, I'm going to go look at who we can raid with. I think we're hopping more on the YouTube side, but we're still going to raid out. But in the meantime and in between time, why don't you tell the wonderful people where they can find Papa Smokes?
All right, everybody that wants to find Papa Smokes online, look for the intersecting lines on X, Elon Musk's free speech wonderland. I am at Smokes_Papa. And then you can also find me on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
That's fantastic. I love that you had to change the game up just a little bit, Papa Smokes, to get the X in there, because that is where you can now find Papa Smokes is over at Elon Musk's Funland there, known as the X. And that is where you can find me. I'm over there as well, too, as long as the lot. As I go and trip over my own words, a variety of different platforms where you can find me, Bobby Munson, but you can also find me throughout the week here on OLE Podcast. Again, this Sunday, I will be on Busted Out with the returning Chris Parrish there for episode 55 of Busted Out, as we're getting closer to those Busting Out awards coming up very, very shortly. And then, of course, we've also got another edition of Ring Respect Radio coming up, and that big tailgate party. That's where it's going to be at on Sunday evening. So we hope that you're all going to be joining us. And I am looking at this thing, and I just saw that Allison Kay, I believe, has just gone live here, Papa Smokes. So I think maybe, despite us having a very few people to send on over, if I could find the account here, I think we will try to give this on over to her. Actually, she might be offline already here too. I got to look one more time, folks. Bear with me as you stay with me on the stream. Just looking at who we can raid out to. It's looking at the list here. We want to go try to help somebody out, definitely, for sure here. What do we got? Who can we help here today? Papa Smokes. Oh, sorry. I know why I screwed up. It's the Allison K. Get it right, Munson. It's not Allison K. It's the Allison K. I should know better. Damn, I should be punished for my crimes against professional wrestling, if you ask me, Papa Smokes.
Well, I agree. I'm not sure Allison K is the one to do that, but I say Assassino will make you pay for your crimes against professional wrestling at some point. Joseph Samael also did, but El Assassino is a lot closer.
You bet. And thank you to Chris Parachute. You got that raid out for us there. Thank you for doing that for me. And return. I was on site. Well, I mean, in full capacity, my brother, in full capacity. You make your full return to Busting Out this Sunday with myself at episode 55. But that is going to be it for myself and Papa Smoke. We thank you for tuning in. Tune in this Saturday for another match on Prairie Pro Wrestling, featuring us on commentary. And we want you to go out, have a good time, and we will see you Sunday for that tailgate party. Take care, everybody.